Hello dear students, welcome back to our second class. I hope everyone's doing well. So as introduced in the previous video, I'll be taking computer science classes for HS first year. So in the previous video we have discussed about what a software is, what a computer is, right? So today I'll be discussing with you what book you require for HS first year for computer science, and also we'll go through the syllabus, like what you need and what you don't need, which is important and which is like you have to study in details. So we'll discuss the syllabus, and as well as that I'll just brush up with the initial topic of the first chapter. So without making more delay, let's move forward and start our class. So dear students, this is your computer science book which you will be needing for class 11. So computer science with computer fundamentals, programming methodology, programming in C++. It's a textbook of class 11 of 9th edition and published by Dhanpat Rai and Corporation, and the author is Sumita Arora. So you have to get this book. It's a helpful book, so please get it as soon as possible so that when we discuss our class, it will be easier for you to understand. Let's now discuss about our syllabus. So our first chapter is computer overview, where we have introduction, computers are everywhere, what is a computer, then we have the functional components of computer, hardware, software, strengths and weakness of computer, and we will have evolutions of computer, like how computers are from the past years, how they are developed, how the evolution of computers are processing. Then we will have types of digital computers, then we will also have evolution of softwares. So we will have a very good discussion on the first chapter about the basic concepts. Next chapter we have on software concepts. So in software concepts also we have the introduction, we have types of software, like I have already gone through this, but we'll again have a revision on it. Operating system, language processors, utility software, device drivers. Then we have office tools, domain specific application software. So these are basically application softwares that we will go through. Then open source concepts, like I have already said, Linux is an open source software. Similarly you have open source system. And we have scheduling, for example, which data is needed to be scheduled at what time. For example, there are 3 datas, then which among the 3 will schedule first, that means work first. So we will have different types of scheduling process, for example job, non-preemptive and preemptive. Then we will go for storage management. Now storage, you understand, this is something related to like memory. So what kind of memory have, what kind of storage we have, in which places, and in which settlements can we place them. Then we have some commonly used operating systems. So we'll know about some operating systems that we are using currently and that has been evolved from the previous systems. Next chapter we have data representation. So data representation is also an important chapter, where you have conversion of decimal to binary, binary to decimal, then octal, then hexadecimal. So you'll have different types of conversion of all these numbers. Now we know computer understands only binary language, but how are they supposed to be converted to either decimal language or octal or hexadecimal? This we will know the process. Then we have a representation of how 1's complement, 2's complement, we have ISCII code. So these are already, you got it in the previous classes in your class 10 or school level. So we will just have a brush up and we will learn a little more above concept of all this. Next we have microprocessor basics and memory concepts. So in microprocessor basics, like what is microprocessor? It's basically inside the computer where the functionality is done, like it's basically inside the CPU. So what are its compositions, how does the classification of microprocessor work, and what is main memory, cache memory and secondary memories. Like we have studied about RAM and ROM, right? And we know what are secondary memories, like SD cards or any memory card. So we'll go through this in the chapter 4, which is microprocessor basics and memory concepts. Next, in chapter 4, we'll go for general OOP concept. Now, what is OOP or OOP? It's object oriented programming. So we will go for programming that is based on objects. So you'll have a question like what is object. So when we'll go to the chapter, you'll understand. So here we will study about programming language generations, like different generations. Then we'll study about OOP and data abstraction, encapsulation, modularity, inheritance, polymorphisms. So these are very amazing terms that you are going to study. This is a very interesting chapter and I'm sure you'll love it, because from this you will know the term what object is basically meant. So coming to your next chapter, that is chapter number 6, you will be getting started with C++. So I know you have heard of the term C++. It's a programming language which is actually the updated version of C programming. So here you will learn about the character sets, the tokens that are used, for example, what punctuation marks you need, what operators are used, what keywords you need. So there are different keywords, for example, C out. So you have like this keywords. So you will also read about the header files, the library functions, and also the comments, like how to put a comment. You will learn the symbols and how the statement is written in C++. For example, for output operator, this statement symbol is used, and for input operator, This is the operator symbol that is used. So for other work, you will understand like working with code blocks, then using barcode C++. So you'll study all this in this chapter. Next, in chapter 7, you will be studying about data handling. So how to handle a data, like we will discuss in the first chapter like what is data and how do you now handle it. So here also we have C++ database data types. Data type means what type of data is, suppose 12. Now this is a number data type, and if I say A, B, C, so this is a character data type or string data type. So there are different data types, like what type of data it is. So when it's number data type. Similarly, you have other data options also. For example, date of birth, there you may have numbers, a month and year, so that is a date time data type. So you will have different data type explanation. Also you will understand how to declare and initiate variables. Suppose this A thing is one variable, or a group of variables forms a single variable. So you'll learn all this in this chapter. Next comes your chapter 8, where you will be learning operators and expressions in C++. So when we have started C++, initially we will learn about the tokens and like what input and output symbols and operators you need. Then you will learn about the operators in details. For example, arithmetic operator, relational, logical. So you'll have different types of operators. Also the expression, like arithmetic expression and logical expression, and the types of compatibility, like variable initialization, what are the shorthands of C++. We'll go through this in this chapter. Coming to chapter 9, you will learn C++ as per latest C++ 11 standard. So the latest version that is of C++ 11 standard. So how are you going to like make things are different. For example, C++ there are some sort of operators and variables, and now what changes are there. For example, alternative keywords, we will have some keywords, we'll learn some keywords, and here you will learn the upgradation of what alternative keywords can be used. Then what are boolean types, character, integer, floating. So these are some alternatives and advanced forms that you will learn in this standard. On chapter 10, you will learn about flow of control, like what is the control of a program. Suppose you have written a program here, like you have started header files, then you have started some lines, and then you have given some input, and as a result you get the output, right? So like what is the flow, like how is the computer supposed to know, or the program supposed to know that the flow should be in this side. Like first of all it should read the names, and then it will read the input first, and then based on the input it will give you an output. So how is this thing like understand in a program, how to make the program understand. So we will go to the flow of control. So here we have different control. For example, if statement we have switch statement, then we have different loops. For example, for loop, while loop, do while loop. So we have different loop. So based on this loop we will go through the program control and the flow of control processing. Coming to chapter 11, you will read on functions. So function is a very essential part of a program where some functions are written within parentheses. This is bracket. So within this parenthesis, whatever is written, based on that you will have the output. So we'll study about types of functions, then functions prototype, that is what are the rules of the function. Then this topic basically call by value and call by reference is a very important topic. You should definitely understand it. Then we will go for the header files, like what are the different header files needed. For example, math.h, it is needed basically for mathematical calculation. For example, addition, subtraction, multiplication, like that. Then we have string is basically used for statements or sentences. Then similarly we will go for string functions, character functions, and we'll also go for generations, random numbers. So we will study all this function types and their importance in this chapter. Now coming to chapter 12, we will study about structured data type, that is array. Now array is a very important topic which you will be needing in future as well. So this is a structured data type, and we will study about what is array, what is the need of array, then types of array. We have single dimension, then we have two dimension, we have multi dimension. So for example, single dimension is suppose A, and I have given here 10. So that means suppose you have a number of students. For example, this is referred to students, and 10, that means only 10 places are allocated. So within 10, only 10 number of students can be placed. Next you might have two dimensional, like for example A, suppose 5 and suppose 10. So here it means like it will be basically be in a tabular form, right? So it will be of rows and column format. So like this you will have the formation. So based on this also we'll have double dimension or multi-dimension arrays. So also we'll study about unsized array initializing, like how to initialize array, and we'll go through this, we will see the chapter. coming next to chapter 13, we have structures. Now structure is also a form of array, because based on array only you can study structures. So what is a structure? So you'll have the definition, you'll have the introduction, then how are the nested structure exist and their members. Then we have arrays of structure, arrays within structure. So we'll go through this also. It's a very interesting and easy form. You'll be able to you'll be easily able to understand this chapter. Next, coming to chapter 14, you have programming methodology. So here you will understand how the methodology of a program is done, or what is the method. So modular approach to programming. So what is the approaches? Meaningful names of identifiers. So you don't know what identifiers are now, but when we'll go through it, you'll understand. Then we have compile time error, runtime error, logical error. So when we do any program, we will definitely at first time we will have some errors. So we have to compile it. Compile means scan it, and then there are different types of error which we may encounter. Then we have program maintenance, algorithms, flowchart. So how is basically a program written, how is the flow, and first of all we prepare the algorithm, then the flowchart, and then we go for the program. So this is the syllabus of your class 11 book that I have referred to you, and we have 1 to 14 chapters, and all the chapters are very interesting and knowledgeable. So please buy the book like I have mentioned, and hope we will go through each of the chapter in a very amazing way. You will love it and enjoy it. So now you have got the idea of what you need in this session, what is included in your syllabus, and like I have mentioned earlier, we will now brush up with the initial topics of the first chapter. Okay. Now, so what is technology in your sense? See, now whatever we are living, like what life we are living, what generation we are in, we use technology, right? So technology has improved so much today that we have almost changed our habits. Now for example, previously we used to get newses, or we used to get the breaking news or the happening or current affairs from either newspapers or televisions. So we had the habit of reading newspapers, but nowadays we don't have it, because we get it in one swipe. So we just keep swiping our cell phones and we get all the informations, like the latest news, be it of sports or any information or breaking news. So we get all this of information in our cell phone itself. So how is it possible? This is possible via internet, right? And because of technology, the development of technology. Also we are trying to be cashless now, like our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he says like we have to make India a digital India. Now what is digital India? Digital means something which is not analog anymore. Analog, for example, if I take off cash, so cash is in paper, right? So we will not use cash transaction, we will use online transaction, less paperwork, less manpower, right? So the developed country that we are facing now, India is still a developing country, but the more it is like days are going, it is getting developed more. So this is just possible because of the technology and with the help of computer. So what impact does it have in our life? See, we are doing online classes. Now this is only possible because we have internet, we have a device that is known as a computing device, be it a computer, a cell phone, a laptop. So we are having these devices by which we are connected. You can watch me, I can talk to you, right? So this is the way we are even doing online classes. Just imagine this pandemic happening, like obviously there were pandemics in the previous decades ago, decades like in the sense like long decades ago. So that time this education system, this thing was not possible. But now what happens, because of technology, because of computing devices, we can now take online classes. And not only online classes, people are also doing work from home, like the companies, the offices, they are not stopped, they are not halted anymore. So people can take they can work from home via the help of internet or any computing device that they are having. So with network connection or internet, it is possible now to talk with faraway people. Not only now, it's from a long time, but as days are going, like I have already mentioned, so things are getting better. So yes, if we keep talking like this, we will not end up our syllabus, right? So let's halt our discussion here itself, and let's go and proceed the way our syllabus wants us to be. Alright. So our first chapter is computer overview. Very initial, like what is a computer, like what are its types, then what are the strength of a computer, what are its weakness. So we are going to study all this, we are going to brush it up. So coming to the first topic, that is what is a computer. Going with the definition, we can say a computer is an electronic device that can perform a variety of operations in accordance with a set of instructions called programs. So by the definition you can understand, obviously a computer is an electronic device. Why electronic? It works on electricity, it's a computing machine, right? And it's also mentioned like it performs a variety of operations. Obviously it performs a variety of operations, like there are a lot of operations a computer can do. The initial ones are like calculations, or you know, there are a lot of softwares by which you can type, draw. If we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about image processing, we talk about robotics. So there are innumerable functions or operations that a computer can perform. Like more than half of the work a normal human being can do, computer can actually do a little one step ahead of it. Fine. So the speed, accuracy are obviously much like, you know, forward than a normal person can do the same work. So and also it's mentioned that in accordance with a set of instructions called programs. But what does it mean? Set of instructions, that means computer is, it's not alive, it's a dead thing, right? We make it work. So we need to give some instruction to the computer so that it work. For example, like if you are turning on the computer machine, so when you are switching it on the and then we on the CPU, if it's a desktop, and if it's a laptop, we just turn on the main switch, and then what happens? The screen displays, the monitor, you know, it gets on, and then it will ask you a password if there is a password needed. So how is that working? We are the one who gave instruction, right? We type the password if required. So when we are done with typing the password, what happens? If it's acceptable, then the main screen open up, that is we see the desktop. So how is this possible? When the password is entered, it matches, like it matches with the previous one that we have given, that we have set. So we are actually giving an instruction to the computer. So when we give instruction, this thing is called program. So everything is programmed. Without programming, the functionality of a computer is not possible. For example, if we do addition, for example 5 plus 6, which is 11. So in mentality, in mental process we are doing it very fast, but when in computer science, if we calculate suppose 15639 into 1893, so can you just say the answer at instance? No, but a computer, a calculating machine can say it. So these things are programmed, they are not human beings, or they are not super genius things that they will just tell. So when we program it according to our wish, the programmers program it, and we are the ones who give instructions, and following the instruction it gives us the required result. Okay. So coming to the next topic, we will study about data and information. So this is also a very old concept, data versus information. So if I talk about data, data is some raw facts and figures. What do you understand by raw? Like these are just some you know, facts and figures that you have which doesn't contain any proper meaning. For example, if I tell you A plus, then Mohan, X and 94. So can you understand what it is? You just have the data, you just have the raw facts. But once you turn this into a meaning, like a meaningful you know, process, then they are known as information. So the processed raw facts and figures, that is data, are information. That is when they become like you know, when they become meaningful, when they conceive any meaning. So what was there? It was A plus, Mohan, X and 94, right? So this till now doesn't contain any meaning. But if I tell you that Mohan, a student of class 10 of roll number 94, has scored A plus grade. So what does it mean? Now you have the information that Mohan is a student who is of class 10, whose roll number is 94 and who has scored A plus grade. So when you have this you know, as a meaning, as a process data, so this process data is known as information. And when these data are not yet processed, it doesn't contain any proper meaning, then these things are known as data. So you should understand that what goes in the computer is data and what comes out of it is information. That means whatever we provide is data, and as a result that we get is information. So coming up next topic, we have the functioning of a computer. Now we will explain here how the computer actually functions. This is also very initial, you might have got in your previous classes. So we will just again discuss about it. So computer functions in a cycle that is known as input process cycle. So input process cycle consists of 3 stages, that is the input stage, the first stage, the second stage is the process stage, and the third stage is the output stage. Okay. So input stage, that is the first stage, is performed by the input devices or the input unit. The second stage is performed by the central processing unit, that is the CPU, and the third stage, that is the output stage, is processed by the output unit. So, you will have the figure here, you can have a look here how the input, processing and the output is functioned, and also you can see the main memory. Now, the main memory, it works as an intermediate between the input unit and the output unit, because it helps in storing the information that has been input in it and what you get as an output. We know that computer understands only binary language, that is 0 and 1. So, what the input unit does is it takes the input and converts it into binary language so that the computer can understand it. So, different input devices are there, for example, keyboard, joystick, OMR, that is like you give exams in OMR sheets, right. So, OMR, then MICR, that is magnetic ink character reader. So, you have lot of input devices so that you can give instructions or information, data to the computer. So, next we come over to the processing device, that is CPU, central processing unit. Now, CPU, central processing unit, is the control center of the computer, that is it is the heart of the computer. So, it controls the entire functionality of a computer. So, the memory related thing or the register related thing, everything is consisted inside the CPU, that is central processing unit. So, it has two components, one is CU, control unit, and another is ALU, that is arithmetic logical unit. Arithmetic and logic unit performs the arithmetical and the logical operations. Arithmetical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and logical, for example, when you compare things, for example, greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, or not equal to, right. So, these are logical operations. So, how is this workable? So, when suppose two numbers are required to be added, so they are transferred from the memory to the ALU. So, the calculation takes place there, the addition is done there, and then the result is again sent back to the memory. Similarly, the logical operation is also done in the same way. So, the logical operation, for example, you are comparing two numbers, which one is greater. So, this will be passed from the memory to the ALU. The ALU will do the comparison and it will send a result in the memory again. And the result of logical operations are in two forms, that is true or false. So, this makes the computer, or you can say the capability of the computer of decision making is handled here. Next component is the CU, that is the control unit. So, the control unit controls the functionality in the sense of how the data and informations are supposed to be processed. For example, we have different scheduling tasks, scheduling in the sense like which work is to be done when. So, similarly, which data has to be processed in which time and which information has to be displayed. So, these things are totally controlled by the CU, that is control unit, and also control unit, it sends control signals until the proper functionality or operation is performed by the ALU and transferred to the memory. The control unit also controls the flow of data from the input devices to the memory and from memory to the output devices. So, this was the second stage, that is the processing stage, which is done by the central processing unit. So, coming to the third stage and the final stage, that is the output unit. So, output unit is formed by the output devices connected to your computer. Like in what form you need the output? You need it in audio form, video form, or graphical, character, image form. So, whatever form you like the device is connected, the output device is connected with the computer, in that form the output is displayed. So, the output, once it come from the central processing unit, it is not in the form of human readable form, it is in binary signals. So, you need to convert it so that it is easily readable for the human. So, this conversion is done by the output unit. So, there are different output units, for example, you have monitor, speaker, plotter, printer. So, you have lot of output units, and whichever way you like it, you can attach it to the computer. Coming to the next topic, we have the memory of a computer. Now, what do you understand by memory? It is something that is referred to storage, right. So, memory is basically the predefined working place for a computer where it temporarily stores the data and information in accordance with the user's requirements, like how long the user wanted to be there or wanted to store it. So, memory is also defined as the primary memory of a computer, and you can say it also as the third component of a CPU, that is central processing unit. So, when we talk about computer memory, we have different stages of memory, like we have heard about nibble, we have heard about bits, bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, terabytes, then we have zettabytes, we have yottabytes. So, we have lot of memories coming on way. So, we will be talking on which memory have what limitation and how much space they require in a computer, or you can store it. So, let us go for it and have a look. So, we can see the memory conversion here. So, the least memory that we can see is 4-bit equals to 1 nibble. Then we have 8-bit equals to 1 byte. Now, this is important. You will need this in future for array when we will go for array and structure. Then how 8 bits is equal to 1 byte, we will need that. So, remember the structure size of every unit. So, 1024 byte equals to 1 kilobyte, which is also known as KB. So, 1024 KB is 1 megabyte, which is MB. So, nowadays you can see images are of like if you go for buying a camera or cell phone, then when you see the option for camera, how many like pixels is it, like how megapixel we ask them. So, there you can see if you capture one image, then it might be of 5 MB to 16 MB like that. So, it depends on how the resolution is better and how much pixels it is of. So, based on that you will have the images or video size. And 1024 MB equals to 1 gigabyte, which is GB. So, if you go for long videos, then you can see for a movie or something, if you see the size, then you will get they are of 1 GB, 2 GB, or sometimes more than that also. Then you have 1024 GB of 1 terabyte. So, mostly hard disk are 1 terabytes. Then you will have petabyte, zettabyte, like that you will have all the other conversion. And your most largest memory till now is geobyte. So, after petabyte you will get exabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte, brontobyte, and finally you will get 1024 brontobyte equals to 1 geobyte. So, you can take a screenshot of this so that you can remember and save it for future. So, hope you have understood whatever we have discussed today. So, brushing up, we have gone through what is a computer, what is its functionality, like how does it function, then what is the input unit, what is the central processing unit, what is the output unit, we know what are the devices that are attached with it, and also we have gone through what a memory is, what a computer memory is. So, these were the basic and initial things that we already knew, we just brushed it up so that we can move forward. So, like I have explained in the previous video of what a software and what a hardware is, like I have explained what application software is, what utility software is, what system software is. So, please watch both the videos till the end so that you understand the concept till here. The next class will move forward to rest of the topics and which will be more useful to you. So, keep safe, stay safe and keep studying. Thank you.